Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the PBA50 Tour. Again, Mike Flanagan here with Tom Carter. And tonight we are at the South Shore Sports Open in Hammond, Indiana, Tom.
You can hear the crowd. My God, this place is packed, ready for this thing.
And we've got a great show for you in store here tonight as we head out to the lanes. We get ready for our first match. We've got Bill Rowe from Canada taking on the Parker Bohn III. And Parker has won 3 times already this year. He's leading the Player of the Year race. He just turned 59 2 weeks ago. Bowling the Canadian in the first match.
Bill Rowe, 8-time member of Team Canada, looking for his first win on the PBA50 Tour. He's only come out a couple times, but he's been a force to be reckoned with every time he showed up. So I think this first match, and he led the tournament, so it's going to be, he averaged 250 the first block. So if he gets that lined up, it's going to be a heck of a match.
Yeah, all players on their way to the show here tonight bowled 14 games of qualifying. They bowled 7 games the first day. They bowled 7 games the second day. There was a burn squad. Bill Rowe averaged 250 for his first 7 games. Bowled his next block not too bad, averaged 220. Ended up being the number 2 overall seed. Chris Barnes was number 1, got defeated in the round of 16. Bill Rowe lost his match, but because he lost his match and was the highest seed remaining, he is our 5 seed here tonight on the show.
So he's got quite a ladder to climb to get his first PBA title. He's got to get by one of the hottest guys throwing a bowling ball right now. Maybe the hottest family throwing a bowling ball right now.
So here we go, Parker Bohn III getting things started here in the first frame. Whoa, what'd you see there, Tom?
That ball checked up soon as it hit the lane. And that was something, he didn't change the surface of that ball. And the big reason being, and this is this Paragon that you like so well, he goes, I don't know what surface was on it, so I'm not going to touch it. He said, I'm going to try to do all my adjustments with speed.
All right, so Parker does get 3 there. Tonight, also, I need to introduce the other players on the show. The winner of this match gets John Burkett, former Major League Baseball pitcher, who has dedicated himself to the sport of bowling and is a damn good bowler here on the PBA50 Tour, looking for his first win. Lenny Borish has already won this year. He won the U.S. Open. He's our number 2 seed, and our number 1 seed, the defending champion, the local guy, Eugene McCune. But Rowe gets it started here in the first.
That is going to be a problem. We watched him in the previous match, and his angles just got so kind of steep that we had a problem getting the ball to corner on the back end. But as you alluded to in the previous segment, you didn't feel he was just throwing the ball that well. And when I went down and talked to him, he goes, I'm here on the show, but I threw the ball horrible that whole match.
Yeah, he really did. He had a great look. He was using a paradox bowling ball his entire way through qualifying. As again, or I'm sorry, what's it called? It's not a paradox.
It's a Paragon.
What I'm doing is I'm dating myself a little bit. I helped work on the paradox ball when I worked at Evans International years ago, and they've re-released the ball. It's got a similar core, and this ball here looks the exact same colors and has almost the same logo.
Yeah, the Paragon. And that it's kind of amazing. A lot of the guys are all throwing pin-up balls or pin-out, just kind of stacked. He's the only guy out there that's throwing a pin-down ball.
Yeah, and folks, we will get a scoreboard up for you here in a moment. This is the first time this week they've moved it to the middle of the screens. So Brian Kane, who's producing here tonight, is working on getting that put together. We'll have the scores up for you here in just a moment in this first match.
I think when you ask about Parker, he did throw that collision down there, and he had some serious surface on it trying to open up his side of the lane. But I think, enough shots went down there. He might have burnt the front part. You've seen that ball just check as soon as it hit the lane.
He is the only left-hander on the show here tonight, so he definitely has that side to himself. And the Bohn family, I think we have to mention, has been on fire.
Oh, that's an understatement.
Justin Bohn won the U20 Junior Gold Championships right here on BowlTV a couple weeks ago. Beautiful shot by Parker. Yeah. Parker followed up with the PBA50 Cup later that week on the other side of the state here in Michigan. And then Brandon won Junior Gold for the 3rd time, repeat champion in the U18 division. And Sydney Bohn, shout out to Sid, finished 5th in the U18 girls this year.
That's incredible. And it's so much funny about Sydney because Sydney wasn't even going to be a bowler. Didn't think she was going to do it. Didn't bowl that much. And all of a sudden, yeah, I think I'll start bowling. And my God, is that girl, she throws it phenomenal.
Much better.
Yeah, Parker figured out that burn spot real quick. Parker told me, he goes, when his boy won there last week, they were all out for steak dinner when he was bowling. And he goes, I had to hurry up and get back over to Lansing, so I had McDonald's on the way. So that was my steak dinner going back home.
We all made picks internally on who was going to win last week. I didn't have Parker at all. I didn't think with all the commute up and down the highway that he was going to bowl very good last week. But you know what? The man's unbelievable.
We talked about that he goes from one end of the country to another, leaves the tournament, flies somewhere, does a presentation, does whatever, comes back, bowls another qualifying squad, does something else. I don't know if he ever sleeps. I mean, the he's a machine.
And speaking of machines, Bill Rowe is one of the best players to ever come out of Canada. Bill is a very accomplished player. And before I get too far ahead of myself tonight, Bill wanted me to give a shout out to his wife and his daughter. They're coming to Wyoming for next week's stop. They're going to spend some time together, and Bill said he is looking so forward to that.
People don't realize. Look at Bill. That's the classic Bill Rowe right there, posting that shot. He's got that deep knee bend, and he is so technically correct.
Look at
shoulders
this.
Over the quads, long, beautiful knee bend, long swing. Ball. And he likes to get it out to like 6-7 down the lane, where a lot of the players never got it that far right.
Yeah, the right rangefinder, tracer, marking, whatever you want to call it, at the 10th board down lane, that has been the target for players to get it to. It's a 44 feet in length pattern.
Correct.
It's the Billy Hardwick pattern, 27 milliliters of oil, and we're blowing on Brunswick Pro Lane this week.
And Pro Lane with a lot of friction, because this is a high lineage center. So Pro Lane's a hard surface, but we still have a lot of friction on this surface.
I want to welcome in everybody, our BowlTV community here. We have an online chat room. We see you all in there. Hope you're doing well tonight. Glad you're with us. If you're watching a recorded version of this on YouTube later on, we'd love to have you come on board with BowlTV. We have a lot of great action on BowlTV, including the PWBA Tour, the PBA50 Tour, and, of course, a lot of great collegiate competition and junior gold, as we just talked about, that we just came off of here just up the road in Grand Rapids.
And we're off tomorrow to Billy Froberg's place for a regional right before we get to Grand Rapids. And it's like nonstop bowling.
Billy bowled this week, had a great week. Wow. Four wraps around the 7 on that one.
Well, as he said, he was going to try to adjust the pattern by speed, and he could get a little fast. He has that ability because his leverage is so good at the line to throw it hard. And literally, I think earlier we talked about how the slower speeds seem to be pretty good. Tommy Hess, being hurt, couldn't throw it as hard as normal, but his second block was a great block because he didn't have the speed. The ball shaped up better.
So here is Bill Rowe, and as he told you, he did not bowl well in the round of 8. But I will tell you, I'm pretty impressed with his start here on the show here tonight. First shot was a little shaky, but he's been looking good ever since.
That was left to target. It looked like his hand went right around it at the point of release. I thought that, if he can get through this first game and get the jitters out of his belt, he's got a good shot at winning this, just because he's hungry. He'd be the first player from Canada to win a PBA 50 title.
All right, covers the spare, so we've got ourselves a 10-pin match currently. Ten-pin advantage right now for Bill Rowe through 5 frames. The other thing I like about Bill is he took a period of time off. Bill was a tremendous player that came over and bowled some PBA events, and he had all these embroidered name shirts with all the ball logos on them from the time when he stopped. He's been wearing those shirts and those logos this entire season at the stops he's been at. I love it.
Yeah, it's kind of old school. Everybody used to have embroidered shirts. Now they got all the dye sub shirts out here, and he's one of the last guys with a polo. A little old school going on. There's nothing wrong with old school, though.
I want to give a shout out to a couple of best friends that are watching together. They're probably sitting right next to each other on the couch. Probably eating spaghetti together. Jason Couch and Dave Watka. I hear you guys out there watching.
Yeah, Parker didn't like that at all.
Whoa.
And that almost came away with a strike, and he didn't like that from the get-go. That was right off of his hand. I guess I was standing in front of the counter, and Jason Couch messaged Jeff Johnson and had to comment on my bald spot in the back.
Of course he did.
Yeah, in beautiful Jason form.
Yeah, talk about a couple of, this is stop number 11 for the PBA50 tour this year. And
I've lost count.
It's starting to set in with some of the players. Jason Couch actually had to withdraw. His hand was torn up. Russ Hunt had a quad injury, and Pete Weber withdrew.
Well,
a few games into the tournament.
Well, Tommy Hess right now has got a sciatic problem, and so does John Burkett. He's got a hip problem. And actually, Bill Rowe is bowling with a split on the inside of his middle finger. So, yeah, the tour's taking a toll on some of the guys.
But it's actually their fault, though, Tom, because
it is.
Between stops, they go and bowl regionals.
That's true.
Shout out to Brad Angelo, by the way. He won a regional last weekend. Bowled phenomenal. I got another Angelo story for you later if I can remember it, okay? You got to remind me.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Brad was telling all
on.
kinds of stories last night. Yeah, he's missing that right leg.
He's just missing left.
Well, that happened in the previous round. We were talking about it, and I kept saying he needs something to push down, and he goes, I'm just throwing it bad. But either he's got to move farther left to try to find some more oil. But, you know, when Eugene McCune came over, Eugene practiced right around fourth arrow, so he might have, if he has to make that move left, he might have to jump farther than he is anticipated.
So right here, Rowe can strike and take a 21-pin lead in the match. He's up 11 right now. Great shot by Bill Rowe, taking advantage of the break of the Brooklyn. Now let's talk a little bit about the points out here. That's what I want to get at. Parker Bohn III is leading right now. He's bowled 8 events. He's won $47,000 out here this year, 28,595 points. Second is Tom Hess. He's bowled all events, 24,205 points coming into this one. Chris Barnes is third, has bowled 9 events, 23,715 points. And those are the only 3 players to cash in every event that they've bowled so far this year. Looks like Parker's got to tie his shoe. Fourth is Brad Angelo at 22,815 points. He's bowled 10 events and he's cashed 9 times.
Well, would you say 47,000 for Parker?
47,000.
That is, you have to understand, on the senior tour, we're normally bowling for, that is left off of his hand. It's like he double bounced that ball. Oh, my goodness.
I don't know if both players are tight here tonight or what's going on, but we've definitely seen some errant shots that we haven't seen from both players.
Could it be that Parker maybe just needs some rest because he's been running all over 2 states?
I'm not sure.
Classic style right there, Parker on the side. You know, not many guys, and he's going to turn 59. We end up the season with 2 60 tournaments, which is, you know, I guess good for the 60-year-olds because that would probably be 2 more titles for him.
Parker can finish out here with 215 as the max score.
256.
256 for Bill Rowe, yeah. Bill going at a 220 pace. Parker can strike out for 215. Beautiful shot by Parker Bohn in the 9th.
So both players, whether they left or right, are having problem on the right lane.
Let's take a look at that shot again. Look at this. This is what Parker needs to do every shot. Easier said than done.
Well, that shot he projected out on the lane in that slow motion replay. He got it out on the lane probably about 2 feet and give a good direction. The shot before on the right lane, it just double bounced. So he's got the left lane. He's just got to figure out what's going on with that right lane. But he's only got 1 frame left.
Again,
that
too far up
is
the lane.
3 shots in a row that ball has went dead left off his hand. He has not moved enough yet.
And again, there could be a multiple reasons why this is happening to Bill Rowe. It could be a mechanical, something in his form, in his style. Maybe his ball is out a little bit further away from his ankle, so his laydown point is a little bit further to the right. I don't know his game quite good enough to know what is a good shot or a bad shot, but 3 shots in a row high on the right lane, you got to do something.
Well, I would venture to bet that several of the guys, when they came over for their 20 minutes of practice, threw the ball exactly where he's throwing it. So I think he moved into their burn spot, at least the early burn, and the ball's taken off. He just can't get it to the spot down lane. So if he makes it through this match, he needs to talk to Jeff and figure out maybe we might need to throw a different ball, or we definitely got to change angles.
Big difference here now with that open frame. His max score is 221. Parker Bohn can still finish at 215. Bill Rowe's got to go up and double and get 5 pins to shut out Parker Bohn. Anything less, Parker Bohn can win this one.
Well, I don't think you ever want to give an opening to Parker Bohn. Much better shot off his end, but he's got the left lane.
He's been good on the left lane.
He's been good on the left lane. The ball is pushing through the front. So maybe the guys, when they came over, more dull balls went down the right lane than the left lane. I mean, there's, like you said, there could be a zillion factors of what's causing this.
There is one player that is using a ball with about 360 surface, and he was the one that took down Chris Barnes, and that's John Burkett. And I know Burkett did come over here and use some surface on the lane. I didn't get a chance to see all his practice shots where he played, but that could be a factor. Exactly.
Yeah, he had 360 on that ball. I mean, that for you people out at home, that's a boatload of surface, especially if it's a fresh pad.
And what it does is it removes oil off the lane where it rolls and it rotates in the front part of the lane.
That was probably one of his best shots of the game, but he's going to end up with 211, which allows Parker to double and 7 in the 10th. That crossed 50.
Tom, give me a second to get the audience up to speed on what's happened here.
Okay.
Okay. So first of all, the audience didn't get to see. Parker Bohn III goes up in the 10th frame, delivers 3 strikes, 215 to 211 over Bill Rowe, and he pured all 3 of them.
Right.
They were run over the rack. Beautiful shots. We had a glitch up here in the booth, a power glitch up here in the booth that caused our stream to go down, and our entire software program have to be restarted. So we apologize for that, everybody. But Parker Bohn III did strike out in the 10th frame and did exactly what he needed to do. Now he's going to go on to take on John Burkett in this match right here, and then the winner will get Lenny Borish Jr., and then the winner of that match will go on to take on Eugene McCune,
who is the defending champion and actually has won in this house twice before.
Appreciate the support in the chat, everybody. So here we go, Tom. John Burkett, never won out here on tour. He's going to have a lot of pressure on himself, but this is a guy who's faced Barry Bonds in Major League Baseball.
I don't think this is pressure to him. He loves the sport. This was his first passion. I can't imagine this being pressure when he's been in front of 100,000 people throwing a baseball. I just don't see the correlation. This should be like a walk in the park for him.
But to play devil's advocate, he wants this more than striking out Bonds. I truly believe that.
Well, I agree with that. But he's always so carefree and upbeat. You never see him. He's never down. He's got such a great personality, and tempo about him. I just think for him, this match is going to be fun. And if he looks at it that way and keeps it that way, I think he'll do fantastic.
Earlier in match play, he did face Chris Barnes, and Barnes had an uncharacteristic open. He flagged
the 3-6.
The 3-6 in the 8th frame of the match. It wasn't in the 10th frame. Barnes was unable to double in the 10th, gave Burkett an opening.
Right.
And Burkett doubled in the 10th frame when he needed to advance past Barnes, and that made his road to the show here.
For Chris to miss that 3-6, I mean, the whole crowd back here went, you couldn't believe that he missed the 3-6. But then Barnes still had a chance to lock up the match. He strikes the 9th, first one in the 10th. He doesn't get the second one, leaves the 3-10, picks it up, but then that forces Burkett to strike out, and he did, and he's on the show. John Burkett qualified 17th in this week's tournament. Hard to believe that Parker Bohn qualified 22nd.
Brian, can we go to that behind the lane shot if you don't mind? I want to watch ball reaction here a little bit.
So you see Burkett throwing that dull ball, at least we've seen it from the side. You think he's trying to burn up a track?
Yeah, I do. Like I said earlier, John Burkett went to the paddock and grabbed a reality bowling ball that he didn't plan on using anymore this year. He took 360 to it because he wanted to burn a spot up against Barnes. He started throwing it out there and it started hitting the pocket. He used it all 3 games. And then he used it in his next match to advance to make it to the show, and he's going to be out there with that ball, I believe, the entire time.
Well, what he did, he moved right basically in the puddle where nobody played. So he actually played because the oil is less, and the guys that broke it down left of where he's playing. So he actually moved right into the out of bounds and created a track.
He's a 2-time MLB All-Star, 1,766 strikeouts in his All-Star career. John Burkett, everybody from Fort Worth, Texas. Parker Bohn will start the match. Guys, good luck.
Oh, they got Bill Rowe's name up there instead of.
Yeah, they'll be swapping that out. But they did switch over our score monitors here, so shout out to Brian for rebuilding this for the second time here this evening. But it looks pretty good right there. We got Parker Bohn, much more readable, no longer the green look here.
Yeah, so now we can see it a little bit better.
Yeah, you and I, my eyes are going bad too. Well, all right, folks. Here we go. We got the Parker Bohn III taking on John Burkett here. Burkett has lane choice. He's elected to have Parker Bohn start on the left lane.
You find that more typical. You want to finish first, put pressure on the other guy if you can do it. But there are cases where you start if you think you got a better look on the opposite lane.
Here's a look at that shot again. Parker parking out on the gutter.
Yeah, he's down around 5-6, maybe 4-5-6 at the break point.
And that's vintage Parker Bohn right there.
Like I said, he said earlier that he's going to do all of his adjustments, not with ball surface today, but with speed.
So here is John Burkett again. We're going to see him roll the ball. He's going to be a little bit up the back of the ball, and he's going to have a lot of surface, and this ball is going to hook immediately off his hand.
He is literally playing what I would call hook set. The ball hooks up, it sets, and it never overreacts on the back end. All of his hook is up front. He's literally standing. You see where he's standing. He's about 12. He's standing a long ways to the right. But he still got it to the spot where Bill Rowe was trying to get it down lane around 6-7. But he's going at it at a different angle.
That's a little in. Holds pocket.
Hey, well, I'm not so sure that ball can go high, because if there's any energy left for it to go high, he's got so much surface on it.
So Burkett got a little bit of area out there. Now Parker Bohn needs to come back and bowl a Parker Bohn game. He didn't bowl his best game, and Bill Rowe gave him an opening. He took full advantage of it by throwing 3 in the 10th that were dead perfect. So here's Parker again on the right lane. Take a look at where he's lined up. Pretty far left there, close to the ball return.
He's going to play it firm and straight. Again, he's throwing a Paragon, the ball that you like that's been sitting in his car for 2 months, he said. He might almost got a break on that. But for him, if he overthrows it, because it's so easy on this pattern, I think the ball pushes quickly on this pattern. And if you push it, it never reads the back end. The hardest part, and he said earlier when he was out there and he was practicing, he goes, I got to get the ball to start up. If it doesn't start up, it never sees the back end.
Parker's had a couple of issues here. He's had to reset a couple of times. Very uncharacteristic for Parker.
I think he's redoing his thumb. Parker is he's pretty finicky about his thumb. He's got quite a few pieces of tape in there, and he does it in strips. It's not like a whole 3/4 piece or a whole inch piece. I mean, he's got like 1/2 inch pieces, 1/4 inch pieces. He puts them wherever he feels like he has to tighten up one side or one portion of his thumb.
We're here at Olympia Lanes. They've been hosting the PBA Tour in some shape or capacity for over 30 years. I want to give a shout out to the entire staff here. Great crowd here tonight as well. They brought in bleachers.
We can't even, folks, we're in a little cubby hole here, and with the bleachers in front of us, the only bowling we're seeing is on our monitor. There's so many people in here in front of us.
So Parker with an open in the second frame, 28 in the second. Burkett is perfect through 2 frames. That's better.
That was a little farther outside down lane. It had a long ways travel to get back to the pocket. This should be just a no-brainer for, which it was for Parker Bohn on the 7-pin. Between him and Walter Ray, I don't think those two have ever got tired of throwing a bowling ball. It is still fun to them.
That was a distraction. Something went off.
The phone. Unfortunately, the phone here behind the counter, I don't know if they can quiet it. I mean, there's literally a guy sitting right next to it, and he nails it as soon as it rings. But in a situation like this, it's disturbing because it's pretty darn quiet in here. Unfortunately, that is the problem with a lot of surface in the front part of the lane. That hook stop, you don't see the recovery on the back end like you would if it didn't have as much surface. Balls naturally slow down going down the lane, and when you add a lot of surface to a ball, you create it to slow down even faster. So if it slows down in the front part, it can't make that big move on the back end.
And when we talk about a lot of surface on a bowling ball, what it does is it makes the ball want to hook sooner, not necessarily hook more overall throughout the whole lane.
Correct. So, pretty much we always said that 70% of ball reaction was ball surface to lane surface. And when you get, it's kind of like having snow tires on your car. It grabs the pavement pretty much as soon as they start turning, and that's what a lot of surface on a bowling ball does.
To quote the great late John Jowdy, these are all modern-day missiles that these players use with cores inside of them, and all these bowling balls are in balance to change direction as they go down the lane. It's where you have them change direction is where the players can create a little bit of area and create a shape that allows them the most room for error.
And that's where the great players, they see shape. You know, they see the ball quick. I mean, they actually pick it up past the dots, and they see the whole motion of the ball. And when I do lessons with kids and trying to teach them, a lot of people just see the motion on the back end of the lane when the ball hits the pins. And Chris Barnes crossing next to me, he threw one shot and he goes, and it hooked immediately. He goes, that ball hooked literally 3 feet before it hit the arrows. He mentioned that, you know, he sees those kind of things.
So if you're Parker Bohn and you see John Burkett go up and not strike in either shot in the third and the fourth, you got to be sitting here thinking to yourself, okay, it's game on. Here I go. Got to make a good one here on the right lane. It all starts here.
But the thing that Parker has, and Burkett, don't get me wrong, he can throw it hard, but that's Parker's natural game. And John's just now learned to let the ball kind of read the lane. So with all that surface he's got on, I would think maybe he's going to have to move maybe a board and a half, because he could burn up that spot or stay in that spot too long and lose too much energy before the ball gets to the pocket. At least the way I see it on the monitor. That is typical Parker Bohn. Off the hand, he knew it. He knew that ball was going to make the turn. He's like poetry in motion, watching Parker throw a ball.
He sure is. He cuts the lead to 6 with a double.
Somebody said in the chat, so we're going to have Mookie Betts out here when he turns 50.
Yeah, they were. I don't know why they're talking about that. He's 29.
So he's starting to get, I would call it over-under reaction. If he keeps it parallel to the lane, it never reads the back because it's already read the front. And if he starts it up too much, it's through the face.
I thought this shot was a much better shot from Burkett compared to the last shot that he either threw a little firm or a little right. This one read up nice. We've seen him trip some 4-pins. We've seen him go high flush. I think he'll make a slight adjustment after that one on that lane after throwing it good.
That ball just about didn't make it across the lane. He hooked it at a 4-pin. I think his best move right now is to pick up the speed.
Let's look at this again in slow-mo. Let's watch this ball come a long way.
Yeah, I didn't think, at that point right there, it didn't look like it was going to turn.
That was almost a strike ball.
Parker, 48 and a third with a double up. John Burkett, 83 and a fourth, spare up. That shot he did move in. He went over more like 9-10 there.
Well, we saw him throw one before, a little inside of target, and it held pocket. To me, that one there looked like his rotation on the ball was a little more on the side of it, not as much up the back of it.
So up the back of the ball is going to hold the ball on line longer. And if you get around the side of it, it makes it skid a little bit through the fronts, but it also makes it hook harder on the back end.
So Parker with the lead in the match now on the bench, looking to extend the lead here in the 6th. Well, Parker looks pretty lined in and locked in right now.
Parker has, I think, finally calmed down, gotten back into the rhythm of things. There in the beginning, he kind of looked a little lost because the ball hooked, didn't hook, Wasn't quite sure, but I think he's found his rhythm as far as his ball speed. Now it's just a matter of repeating shots. John Burkett possible 220 if he takes it off the sheet. He's got 110 in the 6th. Or actually 230. Parker 7-pin in the 7th. Should be an easy conversion. So he'd have 127 in the 6th.
Yep, 17-pin lead. Burkett can double. He would cut it to 7. Burkett's ready to bowl, too.
He's up. Runner on base. He's ready to pitch.
This 44 feet in length Billy Hardwick pattern has been a little tricky one here. That's for sure.
Yeah,
And, it is 3.5 to 1 ratio.
You would have thought, I mean, a lot of times if you use that rule of 31, your break point would have been around 13, and we always kind of figure 80% of that, so maybe 11, 10. And 10 was a good spot. If you could get right on top of that marker, you were pretty much right in the pocket. But some of the guys had the ability to get to the right of it. But normally longer patterns, especially on a burn situation, we get to move in and just, I don't want to call it freewheel it, but you got some area. And it never ever seemed like that on this pattern.
I really like that shot there from Burkett. He seemed like he was a little more comfortable with this shot. Got the light hit. We've seen him get a lot of light mixers throughout the week so far.
Well, I know his hip's been hurting. He took a painkiller in the previous round, and he was saying he's going to take another one because he could feel it starting to creep in again. So yeah, it all depends if he stays healthy through this match.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Beautiful shot from John Burkett. He now cuts the lead to 7. Burkett can strike out for 230.
So if you notice his angles have changed going down the lane instead of more at him, he's going down the lane and letting the ball turn in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll take a look at this one again in slow-mo.
Yeah, he's more right on top of 10 and taking it to 8. So he's going more literally down the lane and letting it turn in. He was actually kind of pointing it there to the pocket for a while.
If both players were to max out, Parker would win by 7. High flush.
That ball just kind of, it hit, but the pins didn't really move anywhere. They just kind of like, duh. That 6-pin just kind of laid there.
Michael Haugen Jr. joined us during the round of 8 and really talked about, for a right-hander, the pocket 6-pin in this building. We've seen pocket 6-pins, pocket 6-10s, and some unusual pin carry here at Olympia Lanes that has been consistent over the years. Might have been what we saw there, some of that weird pin carry here in this building.
We actually seen, and you hardly ever see it, but a pocket 6-7, and that's just something that you don't see. But here, I think you can see just about anything. Parker with a strike in the 9th. Possible 226.
Yeah, John Burkett can still win this thing and shut out Parker Bohn.
Yep.
He's going to have an opportunity to.
And Burkett can shoot 230. Our next stop on the PBA50 tour in Wyoming, Michigan. That was just a little right too quick.
Yep, coverage begins Tuesday, August 2nd for PBA50 Spectrum Lanes Open up in Wyoming, right outside of Grand Rapids.
Then we're off to Dave Small's place, Anderson, Indiana.
And Dave Small's Jack 60 Open. Then a couple of PBA 60 events to finish the season. Dick Weber Classic, and then the Tristan's Taps Memorial at your home house, Columbus, Ohio, Wayne Webb's Columbus Bowl.
Oh, just about didn't get out the 8. That was that slow hook that he just almost missed the 2-pin. He did it again. It doesn't look like it's getting there. So John Burkett kind of put himself in a tough situation. Burkett, best he can do is 208. But he has to strike out. That would force Parker to get the first one in the 10th.
Yeah, double 9 would secure that. That would give him 207, make Parker have to double.
He's like, it's the other lane. It's the right lane.
He says, I needed to make that shot on the right lane.
Well, the right lane gave Bill Rowe trouble in the previous match. So maybe in the future matches, that's the lane we got to figure out. Even Eric Pierce, I walked by, he's shaking his head. It's the right lane.
All right, well, John is going to need a double here. Put some pressure on Parker. He did this earlier against Barnes. Can he do it against another Hall of Famer? We will see.
That looked good. Not that good.
Wow.
7-10. And I said earlier in qualifying, I seen a ton of those. And it looked like that ball, he might have got a little speedy with that one. That looks a little fast.
A little bit.
Yep. Just didn't make the turn.
So if he gets one, it's 197. That would force Parker to have to mark.
Yeah. All you have to do is mark. Terrible saying.
We have seen a little early hook from Parker and some other shots.
Yep.
Needs to be very careful here. I would maybe almost bowl a little safe here.
Yeah, because if he overthrows this, he could easily split. I think speed control was the key to success this week, and too much speed was bad.
That's right off his hand.
Holy cow. We didn't see that coming at all. That was literally right off his hand. He never got that going down the lane. Parker Bohn, 4-6-10 to lose the match by 3. 194 to 197. Parker Bohn finishes 4th.
Congratulations to Parker. Another great tournament for him. Top 5.
Holy cow. What an upset.
Well, that's why you never know. You never know. And as we like to say here on BowlTV, anything can happen.
I said it earlier. All you have to do is mark. That's the worst thing in bowling.
We'll get the semifinal match underway for you. Congratulations again to.
So Burkett on to meet another Hall of Famer, Lenny Borsch. Lenny Borsch, our U.S. Open champion this year.
Yep, Lenny hadn't won since 2018. Got the monkey off his back this year at the U.S. Open. That was a big one for him. He also finished runner-up to Ron Moore at the Super Senior Classic earlier this year that we streamed to you live here on BowlTV. See, Eugene McCune's going to come over and take a few practice shots as he's our #1 seed here tonight.
I venture to bet that Eugene is going to be playing the lanes totally different than everybody else that we've seen on the show. But then again, Eugene's got a much higher rev rate than anybody we had on the show. Eugene McCune, literally on his practice shots, that was kind of unique, standing in front of the ball return. Holy cow. Lenny Borsch taking his practice shots. Both of them throwing that new UC3 that just came out. So I'm quite sure that Eugene is looking to open up the lane, figuring that the other guys use so much surface that it actually give him a bump spot down lane that he can hook off of, which makes perfect sense, especially with that kind of rev rate and that kind of speed. Burkett and Lenny in our next match. I would venture to bet that both of them will be pretty close to the same line. Lenny with that, what I call that voodoo roll that he has. It's just Lenny always finds a way. He is a grinder from the word go. So this next match will be coming up in just a few minutes down here at Olympia Lanes. It is the PBA50 South Shore Sports Open here in Hammond, Indiana. Lenny taking his final shots. John Weber waiting to get the action started. Mike Diaz repping on the Storm Tour this year, or from Storm staff on our tour, at least this stop.
Yeah, Mitch Beasley did a lot of that work in the past, and Mitch is recovering from surgery and doing well, so shout out to Mitch Beasley here tonight as well.
And we've had Kelly Kulik out here with Storm. She does a fantastic job.
So you talk about ball selections here, and there's a new ball from Roto Grip that it seems like every player drilled this
the
week.
RST3. I might have said the RST2. It's RST, RSTX3.
It's the RSTX3 from Roto Grip. It appeared on the truck this week.
I don't think there's any left on the truck.
And there aren't. There aren't, Tom. And it's kind of been the magic ball for the Storm staffers here this week. I know Burkett has one as well. And we've just seen a lot of these guys use it here this week. And
that is a hybrid, isn't it?
so this ball, I should know it well enough here since everybody was using it. It is a, first of all, it comes out August 19th. So the ball's not out yet, but the players, of course, on the pro staff can use it. It is a hybrid cover stock, yeah.
Okay.
Micro tracks, they say.
It is, where's those numbers for 15 pound? It's a 253, so it's got a high RG and a high diff, 053 diff. So it's kind of a long ball with some strong back end.
Now, Lenny looks like he's got, is that the RSTX2 also? Looks like he just threw that down the lane. So
yeah, he had it out there when he practiced earlier, but you probably can't tell, but that thing has been, unless it lane shined, he had hit that with some serious surface also.
So we watch Lenny Borish get his practice shots, trying a couple of different balls here.
I don't think this is the first step ladder for Burkett. He's made a step ladder before,
Yeah,
I believe.
has. Yep. I can't tell you where.
Yeah, I know it's not his first one.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to start the semifinal match of the PBA50 South Shore Open here in Hammond, Indiana. Lenny Borish coming on from Kenosha, Wisconsin. Lenny's won 5 times on the PBA50 Tour. He's won over 30 times on the PBA Regional Tour. He won this year's Senior U.S. Open, so he's going for win number 2 here in Hammond, Indiana. John Burkett, Lenny Borish, everybody. USBC Hall of Famer Lenny Borish. Good luck, guys.
Burkett will be starting the match on the left lane. Brian's having a fit over here because our scoreboard went white on us.
Yeah,
And
and it's got a score on it already.
That's his handicap.
Burkett made a stepladder at Harvest Park in California a few years ago, thanks to our good friend Ron Moore in our BowlTV chat here tonight. Thank you, Ron.
Bill Wagaman's place, Brentwood, California. Bill just retired. Sold his center. And his good friend Gary Foreman that had Fountain Bowl in California. They sold their center and retired. Everybody's getting up in age. I think Gary's 66, but I think Bill Wagaman was in his 80s. I mean, he was a trooper. He is a trooper. He's still around.
Take a look at Olympia Lanes. Home to the Calumet College of St. Joseph.
The college team practices here too, I believe.
Yeah.
What are, guess we're waiting on the score to get off, or we're waiting on something. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, we've got a delay in the action here, folks.
Yeah, we got Mike Cozy down there, the center manager that runs this place.
Yeah, by the way, if you see Mike, he's got the suit on, and he looks a little bit like the old Mouth of the South Jimmy Hart from WWE or WWF back in the day. So you'll see him come across your screen over here on the right, particularly, so everybody get a glimpse. See if he makes another appearance. Nope, looks like he's going to go the other way.
Mike's been doing this, oh my God, 25 years. He's been here forever.
I think he's got a Trans Am outside with some T-tops, too.
You're dating it.
All right, we're ready to go. Burkett up on the left lane. It's going to read.
That was a late read. That was a mixer. That was
Barely.
Yeah, the head pin came across and I think took care of the bucket. Now they got to do a score correction. So now he has a strike in the first.
Take a look at it again.
He swung that out to like 5. Holy cow, and it came back.
All right, so here's Lenny Borish. Lenny, USBC Hall of Famer.
Lenny's standing right. He's going to play it right. He's standing on 15. He drifts a little bit left, but I think he's going to be right up 10. That was a little uncharacteristic. Lenny lost his balance there, but he got away with the shot.
Take a look at it again, see what you were talking about there, Tom. Lenny with the 5-step approach.
He gets it off his hand, and he steps out of it. At least he got it on direction before he actually lost his balance, but that's kind of uncharacteristic of him. He's normally pretty rock solid. Lenny's got such a unique swing. You see it in his backswing. His wrist is actually kind of what I call inverted, broke back. And he looks like he comes around the side of the ball. It almost looks like it'd be a full roller, but it's not. Starting it out with a double.
Yeah, opening double here. You know, Lenny's had a nice career, but I feel he may be an underrated player if you look back at the history of his career. He is a Hall of Famer, has had a Hall of Fame career, but Lenny's one of the toughest guys to beat out here.
He's won the USBCs. I don't know how many excuse me, Eagles he has, at least 3 or 4, I believe.
And that's the shot we've seen from Burkett. He's starting to get comfortable here on the pair. Watch the head pin dance. Watch this head pin. There it is.
Goes the sideboard, comes back. And I think Michael Hogan, he picked Burkett for the win, didn't he?
He did.
That's what
yeah, in our round of 8, we made our picks. You and I both picked Parker Bohn to run the ladder. And then you also had a side note. And your side note was, who did you like?
Lenny.
I know you did.
Oh, that
wrapped in.
Yeah, that looked good. It looked like it was high flush, but maybe not. It just, here's where we come in with that speed. If he's getting comfortable, like you said, he could be adding a little bit of speed to it and the ball just not making the turn. And we don't have a speed monitor up there that we can see to see what he's actually throwing. That would be kind of interesting, because if the errant shots are fast, he would be able to see that. That ball just not making a turn.
Yeah, Lenny's ball wiggles down lane. The shot before that, Lenny's ball had time to make it into the strike pocket. That one there, it didn't have enough time coming off the end of the pattern. Comes in light, leaves the 2-8.
Lenny kind of glanced over on his way back to the side. I wonder if he heard something. He just seemed a little agitated. It's tough to get this many people in a place. Uh-oh. Oh. He didn't like that shot, I don't think. And for all of these people to be just dead quiet.
I would say we have about 200 people in here watching tonight's Stepladder Finals.
Mike always does a good job, him and Nick. And soon as that round of 16, they got these bleachers in here for everybody. I mean, like right now.
So Lenny leaves the 9-pin. Pretty decent shot. We noticed through qualifying and through the advancers round this morning, as the players bowled 14 games of qualifying, 5 in the advancers, 19 games total, that lane 11 picked up a little bit sooner, and lane 12 had a little bit more hang.
So, in order to compensate for that, the guys are either have to go around that or get farther to the right. It all depends on how much hand you have. But while you were gone, I was watching Eugene practice. He took a couple shots where he was standing in front of the ball return.
Slow wheeling it.
So we're going to see a whole different angle of attack when Eugene gets on the show.
That shot there, to me, it looked like Burkett lost a little bit off his hand, but because of that, roll and tilt, was able to stay on line.
Yeah, you see in slow motion, well, it wasn't actually slow motion, the repeat, but it double bounced in the heads right off his hand.
Yep. Burkett can take a 12-pin lead here with a strike in the 5th.
That was a good shot there.
Yeah, it was.
That was pure
money ball.
That was money.
He's pretty much playing up 10.
Yeah, now.
This is a league shot.
Yeah, I mean, it turned into a league shot.
A lot of our viewers at home, they play 10 at league. Right?
Yeah, that was like 10, 11.
Arrow.
Yeah, and 8 down lane. I mean, that's like perfect league shot.
Yeah. I like to borrow the second triangle at league. Lenny with his side roll there is a little bit right of Berkey.
That looked high to me from our angle here on the replay. Did that not look like it was going to be high right there? But it was like high flush.
Pretty good speed on that one. Call that the high hard one.
Yeah, Lenny's got tricks. And John Burkett, he gets to practice anytime he wants because he has lanes in his house. But he's not home that much. I don't think he travels so much. He's out here. He didn't get to use them.
That was a good shot by Lenny. He's playing that lane a little bit further inside.
But right now it looks like John's got the match in hand. Double, spare, double. Lenny is kind of spare striking at the point. John's trying to stretch that leg out. He said his sciatic is, he thought it was his hip, but he goes, it's running down my leg, which I would assume that's kind of sciatic.
So if both players were to strike out, Lenny would bowl 247 and John would bowl 279.
Not a bad match. You had Parker on this week too, didn't you?
We had Parker in the booth for a little bit, yeah. Beautiful shot by Berkey.
He's making it look simple right now, and he's not showing any emotion.
Take a look where he's crossing at the arrows.
Just
Right of 10 and just barely right of the rangefinder.
So he's playing the lanes totally different. He's more parallel on the left lane and kind of up and at him on the right lane.
Yep. And Lenny kind of doing the same thing.
Another good shot.
Oh,
got the break.
Light
look at
bucket
that.
crumbler.
Look
Call
at that.
Colonel Sanders, somebody.
Yeah, look at that. He thought it was bad, and he got the break. It looks like his speed is a little stronger on this left lane, and he's kind of bellying a little bit, but he got the break out of that. John was telling me last week he had to go on a diet because he was 248, the heaviest he'd ever been.
Carter said it, not me, Burkett, when you watch this back.
I told him, I said, you got to get those shirts that are vertical now, not horizontal.
Stripes up and down is the way you want to do that, I believe they say. It's a great shot by Lenny Borish. Ball's going right through the pin, just driving through him. Lenny here going to have a little veteran move here. He's going to take a re-rack. He either didn't like something on the left lane or just wants to reset.
They might just be resetting. Now, we haven't seen anybody take a re-rack yet on the show. This is the first one. There were a couple racks that the 6 looked a little bit off, but for the most part, all the pairs were fine.
Lenny not out of this match by any means. He can still max out at 247. He knows this is a big one here in the 8th. Put some pressure on Burkett.
A little hesitation.
I like that one.
He liked that one. And he's playing that lane a little farther left also.
Yes, he is.
So obviously the roll and the speed is different, but they are both in the same part of the lane.
We're looking about 11, 12 here?
Yeah, right
Maybe
around
even
13. Yeah.
Right over that right rangefinder.
Burkett could put a lot of pressure on Lenny with this shot right here. There's another one it almost sounded like he lost it off his hand. It double bounced, but maybe he's doing that on purpose. 159 and a 6 with a double up for John Burkett.
If John were to go 9 spare, that would give him 178 in the 7th, 198 in the 8th, 218 in the 9th. Striking out would be 248. Lenny Borish could then apply pressure and bowl 247 for John to have to strike out. So that just goes to show this shot in the ninth. A
Is-
strike is huge.
It's huge, and that's pure
It
right
is.
there.
Ooh.
Oh,
So that exact scenario that I just displayed for everybody
Yeah.
and drew out right there just took place. But he's
you
got to
have
make the
ESP.
spare. He's got to make the spare. Rolls it right over that right rangefinder. That was a beautiful shot.
That had to have just a little bit more speed. I think the previous shot, he might have got a little bit right at the rangefinder, but either way, that was a great shot. You just didn't get the break. And, ooh.
He covers it.
He
Yeah,
covers
on
the
that
10.
left lane for me, Tom, what I'm seeing is because they're playing more towards the inside part of the lane, it's tougher to get it to shape off the end of the pattern because you don't want it to shape too much because it'll jump higher closer to the head pin. So carry on the left lane could be a bit of an issue. We saw Boresch leave a 10 pin. We've now seen Burkett leave a 10 pin on the left lane, and Lenny has to finish on the left lane.
Right.
Lenny cannot shut out John Burkett. Excuse me, Burkett can actually bowl 258.
Oh, he didn't like that at all, off of his hand. So this is almost game over, set match right here. That leaving a 10 pin there puts 176, 196, 226. This match is almost over. John has to show up in the 10th and stay behind the foul line.
Yep, he would need 5 on the first ball.
Ten pin again. And so Lenny is going to finish with a possible 215. John Burkett is going to be bowling Eugene McCune for his first PBA 50 title.
Yes, he is. Lenny is out of wood, but hey, Lenny has had himself a great season so far out here on the PBA 50 tour. Just continues to bowl well. 17,140 points thus far through 8 events. He's made $26,000 this year. He's going to get more this week. He's 6th overall on this tour in points. Lenny having a fantastic year.
He said he was going to go home. He's going to miss the regional up in St. Joe. He's going to go home and get some rest. But he will be up in Grand Rapids at Spectrum Lanes when we start up there. Oh, a 6 count on the last one. 211 for Lenny Borsch. So John's got to go against the defending champion. Now, I don't know if that shot there you just seen, folks, where he left the 6, 7, 10 was just a don't care shot because he knows he has a 1, or he missed it off his hand. You would like to think that if there's going to be any kind of adjustments made, this 10th frame he had it 1 anyway, he could do those kind of things, maybe even pick a different ball.
Eugene McCune's going to take his 10 shots, and then we're going to get this championship match underway for you. 10 shots for Eugene.
10 shots? That seems to be an awful lot.
That is a lot of shots.
I thought it was just 8. But so Lenny finished in 3rd, Parker Bohn finished in 4th, Bill Rowe finished 5th. We are waiting to see who's going to be 1-2 between Eugene McCune, the defending champ, and John Burkett looking for his first title.
Also, folks, here on BowlTV, we do giveaways, and at this point in time, I'm going to run one for a $10 Outback gift card. That giveaway is up on the screen. So we're going to give away a $10 Outback gift card.
So we got to wait through Eugene McCune's 10 shots to see actually where he's going to play the lane. Eugene said after the show he might even have to go to work. He works at the casino, so.
Dale Erickson, congratulations on winning that giveaway.
Eugene at 5th arrow to 8. That's a little bit different line than we've seen so far today.
Yeah, we've got your classic straighter is greater or hooking it to win. What do you think?
Well, Eugene's house, maybe he knows something about this pair that we don't know, but that's like 24 at the arrows to 8.
Well, he's played them like this a lot of the week, especially with more traffic on him. He just gets left, slow wheels it.
I think Eugene is one of the most underrated players that we had out on either tour because he can do so many tricks and it's just natural for him.
Well, I think where McCune has gotten in trouble over the years is he's a true trick pony, and he's an extremist. He either gets way left and hooks the whole lane, throwing it 2 miles an hour, or he gets way right, throwing it dead straight with a ton of revolutions, throwing it 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's everything in between those two bookends is where McCune hasn't been able to fill out the rest of his game. Anytime he's in between, he hasn't been able to repeat and do as good as the two other feast or famine with this guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he has the record for Cheetah,
Right.
you know, the scoring record, playing out, throwing 100 miles an hour. If we had handicapping in the sport of bowling for gambling purposes, and you went to the old World Series of Bowlings in Las Vegas there for 3 or 4 years when he was always a factor on Cheetah, but pretty much fizzled on the rest of the patterns, McCune, his odds go way down meaning more of a favorite on Cheetah, but then the rest of the week he festers out, right? But McCune, over the years, outside of even the PBA Tour, has won so many things. He was one of the first guys would call for the World Team Challenges back in the day. And he's an excellent spare shooter. He's a smart player. And the other thing I like about Eugene is he comes from a great bowling family.
Oh,
and now it's 3 generations.
Exactly. Chris, his sister bowled out on the women's tour. She's out of, I think, Rockford, Illinois. They still live there. If Eugene can go I just seen what Del Ballard said. I think if Eugene can go from one gutter to the other, he'll be all right. But inside there on that lane, he's got a little bit of hang. So I'd have to say odds are Hogan might have been right.
All right, so let's bring it into the booth for a second, Brian. We're going to make our picks. Tom Carter, Mike Flanagan here with you. Brian Kane producing, of course, as always. Tom, I'm going to throw it to you. Who do you like in this match?
I got to go with Burkett.
You're going with Burkett?
I'm going to go with Burkett because I think that left lane, just watching Eugene practice, is going to be a problem.
All right. I like Burkett. Straighter is greater to the pocket. He's kind of knows what these 2 lanes are doing now.
Right.
I'm taking Burkett as well, but I could see Eugene bowl 260 this game, and his only miss would be on the left lane.
Well, the miss is going to be on the left.
Yeah.
I agree with that. If he gets lined up, I don't think John will keep up with him, but I think John's got a better line to the pocket right now.
Yeah.
So
McCune, the defending champ. Let's take it back out to the lanes, Brian. Who do you guys like in the chat? Let us know.
Well, John's got to be the underdog. He's never won.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for the championship match of the PBA50 South Shore Open here at Olympia Lanes. Eugene McCune coming on from Munster, Indiana. He's won 3 times on the PBA Tour. He has 2 championships to his credit on the PBA50 Tour.
You got to pull for John. He's never won.
At Olympia Lanes, John Burkett, Eugene McCune, the MLB All-Star, and the local favorite going at it. Let's give him a nice
All right, our final matchup here at the South Shore Sports Open.
So Eugene electing to have Burkett start the match on the left lane. He'll finish on the right lane. Eugene is going to have to finish his 10th frame on the left lane. 2 trains of thoughts, right? First of all, if I'm Eugene, I think I like the right lane a little bit better, okay? But you also are bowling a person who you could apply pressure to that would need to go up in the 10th frame and perform to win his first title. A little added pressure. Well, Burkett 1 for 1 on the left lane.
Straighter's greater.
That's going to be the lane that he's going to have to master. And so far, 1 for 1.
Yeah. You would have kind of thought maybe Eugene would have started because he wouldn't have had to finish on that left lane. But John Burkett, he threw that 16 mile an hour. Now we have speeds up there.
They've been there, buddy. They've been there.
And they have been?
Yeah.
I haven't seen them. 16.6. Eugene switched balls.
Throwing the green one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Wolverine.
20, did I say 27 mile an hour? Holy cow. Oh, in the chat, Burkett over Eugene, 239 to 229.
Yeah, the Wolverine Dark Moss is what he's using.
There's so many balls, it's hard to keep up with everything.
Yeah, well, Bowl Expo just happened, and the league seasons are coming up, so all the new balls are getting announced. And thank you to the manufacturers for producing great products out there and providing new products for us every single year.
Oh, 7-10. Ooh. Burkett's got to be liking his odds right now. Michael Hogan over there giving us the eye going, you know, I picked him.
It's early, Tom. It's early. Now, Eugene could pick this.
Oh, no doubt.
Watch this speed.
It didn't bounce out. So Eugene with a hiccup in the second frame with that 7-10.
.27 in the second. Burkett with a strike up. Working in the second frame on the right lane.
Oh.
Held pocket.
That held pocket. That just didn't look. Yeah, that didn't look pretty off his hand.
He's done that a few times, though.
Yeah, it's like a double bounce off your hand, bump, right there. Looked like his elbow kind of. He never went through that shot. Just got it off his hand, but
he's throwing right through over that right rangefinder on that right lane.
He jammed it in there.
Remember, on this lane, he's a little bit further inside. He's going to throw it left to right to the rangefinder. There it is.
Yeah.
Is it going to hook?
Is it going to make it?
No, it does not.
That one you can't get too fancy with it.
Yeah, I think what he showed there, just from judging from talking to John, getting to know him this year. You know, this is the 11th stop of the season. If you saw what he did with his hand coming through, he didn't rotate it the way he wanted at the bottom.
Right.
It was way too much up the back of the ball, which created the ball not to hook.
Yeah, he actually has to try to hook it on this lane and more up the back on the other lane.
Correct.
There's that slow hook for the spare.
And it's consistent with both players too, Tom, because we saw Eugene, his ball not quite want to hook into the strike pocket, leaves the 7-10 on the left lane. We see Burkett not get around it there. The ball goes straight, doesn't strike. But now McCune, he's like, okay, here we go. Let's knock this off and let's go.
He's moved farther right. So Messenger coming over from the head pin, flying across, misses the 10. He takes it to 8 down lane. Looks like it's going to make it. Pin standing up, coming across, misses the 10. It's funny to watch Eugene throw that spare because he never ever follows. It doesn't look like he follows through. He just like shotguns it off his hand.
I want to give a shout out to a special family watching back home right now. Someone that I've worked many shows with. I've been referring to the down lane marking as a rangefinder, and that's my term for it. But when I work with a special someone, she calls it a tracer. And on our shows together, we call it the tracer. Tonight I'm calling it the rangefinder. Shout out to you, CDB. Light again.
Lighting.
What do you see, Tom?
I see that he's throwing maybe the wrong ball. He could have picked a ball with more surface. I don't know if he's got surface on that ball, but either way,
Doesn't look like it.
It doesn't look like it. He's got to move right. He switched balls for the spare, and that barely got there. He's got to get farther right. I think he's got to get in that zone where Burkett's at to try to see something.
I think Eugene's got two options. He balls up, maybe back to the RST X3.
Yeah.
Or Eugene needs to shorten the pattern by softening his speed, which he's so good at. He can make that pattern shorter by giving it more time to hook into the pocket.
He's also got a Nova on the rack, and I never seen that ball go down the lane, but he did throw it earlier on the warm-up pairs, and it looked really good. But right now, Eugene's got his hand full.
This might be John's night. I mean, I'm loving this ball choice. I'm loving where he's playing on the lane. I'm loving the surface adjustment he made earlier.
He's just, he's doing something nobody else is doing. And I think the way he's doing it, nobody else's ball is reading the lane the right way. It either oversees it or doesn't see it at all.
This is the one where he's got to rotate it a little bit at the bottom. He's got it. He rotated it at the bottom of the swing.
I think this is Johnny's night.
Let's look at it. Watch at the bottom of the swing. We're getting this one. Look at this. He gets around it a little bit.
It actually turns on the back end.
Yes,
you
sir.
see a ball change of direction.
So Berkey looking good through 5.
Yeah,
Eugene's got to get on it here.
If he doesn't get on it here in the next 2 frames, this could be over quicker than we think.
Runs over the rack for a 9-pin.
10-pin, 9-pin on that lane. He's like, what do I got to do?
And see, Eugene's now in his non-comfort zone. He's
right.
He's not way out and he's not way in.
Yeah. So, you're totally correct. And when he gets in that zone, his speed is kind of up and down. He can't really throw it hard, and he can't throw it soft.
You mentioned earlier that he was practicing in front of the ball return even.
Yes.
And he had to be slow wheeling it there. So
right.
I think he got nothing to lose. I think you take a giant step left, slow up on your speed, hit it for all it's worth, and loop the lane like he has throughout the rest of the tournament.
Right. At this point, get into your comfort zone, what you like to do, because you don't have very many frames left.
Easy for us to say, though. We're not bowling for the title. We'll
Nope.
see what Eugene does. And, you know, he is the home favorite. He did win last year. He bowled on the Del Ballard pattern, which is a shorter pattern. He described it to me as cheetah because it is that much shorter this year.
We don't actually have the old cheetah pattern like they used to have, where they forced you to play up 2, 3, 4.
Right.
Because if you hit 5, 6, the ball went left. He has no look on the lane.
No look whatsoever.
You know, maybe I missed it. He got 10 shots, but I did not see that ball go down the lane in 10 shots. Maybe people in the chat watching it, but I didn't see it. I kept watching where he was playing. Maybe I wasn't paying attention to what ball he's throwing, but I thought it was that X3 that he was throwing.
So the scoreboard does tell the story here, Tom. Not one strike yet for Eugene McCune through 6 frames. He's over halfway through this match, and he has not struck yet. And John Burkett has only missed once.
We must have a pin in the gutter.
Yeah, Eugene's going to clear his own deadwood. You know, I said there was a Brad Angelo story I was going to get to. I saw on Facebook where Brad Angelo got to go to a Cubs game. And he hadn't gone to a Cubs game since he went with his father. And it was the only game he can remember where Ryan Sandberg got thrown out. He picked up a Ryan Sandberg jersey and took a picture outside of the placard with Ryan Sandberg. And it was a very emotional moment for Brad. Went with some PBA50 friends. I know it was a special moment for him. And shout out to Brad. I really enjoy the stories from all the guys out here on the tour. Pretty cool.
There's a lifetime of stories out here because obviously it's the senior tour.
Burkett.
Burkett.
Woo!
He is wired for sound right now. There is no chance, I don't think, that this guy's getting beat. This is his night.
He can almost taste it.
So here very shortly, when we go to our next stop, we're going to see a banner with John Burkett's name on it.
Eugene can still bowl 223, the shot in the 7th. Burkett strikes here. He can add another 30 and get that much closer.
Oh, that looks pretty good.
Sure does. That's a good shot on that lane. I like that shot.
Well, he's not giving up the pocket hardly at all. That's the problem, I think, Eugene. He's giving up the pocket too much.
This ain't over yet. John Burkett is going at a 226 pace. That's if he spare strikes out. Eugene McCune can still bowl 223. Remember, Burkett's never bowled for the title before. Could have some jitters down the stretch. Covers a spare. That's a big spare right here. But if Eugene's going to have any chance, a strike in the 7th and the 8th just got to happen. And now he's going to the ball. I think he should be throwing. He's going to be real close to that ball return. You watch. Look at how close he is.
See, I told you. There it goes.
This is where he should have started.
He's going to wheel it.
Slow wheeling the whole lane. Strike.
Strike.
I've seen this guy do this at the whole tournament. This has been where he's been playing.
Why he went, I guess we'll never know or understand.
He liked something from practice.
Something happened.
So a little momentum here for him. If he can get a double here, it does make Burkett think about it a little bit here. That's inside a target, but it holds. Yeah. Look at the room he's creating with that line.
Burkett's trying to stretch out that sciatic. That's the hardest thing is when you're sitting waiting and that tightens up again. And he's got to put that out of his mind because if he starts
slow-mo. Look at this.
25, it has to be right over the marker, actually down lane.
These modern day bowling balls have so much power. Ball still drives towards the 8-pin through the pins.
At that angle, which is insane. Johnny. Oh, he got a hard one. Yeah, he got away with that one.
Well, he's been carrying that hit, Tom. I've been watching him. He's been carrying that hit. That's the high flusher right there. Call the plumber. Here we go. He still rolled it right over that mark down lane.
God, it looked high. So this, he's getting, a re-rack.
Yeah, he's going to take a re-rack.
Slow some things down. This strike in the 9th. If he strikes here, that's absolutely huge.
This is the critical moment in the match for John. This one here puts him in a 230 pace. If he doesn't strike here, he's in the 220s pace, which McCune can still get to 223. Again, this is the lane that's a little bit harder to carry on. He's got to be sure to get around the ball, go a little left to right.
Yeah, just don't hook it as much as Eugene. That looks
that's
pretty
beautiful.
pure.
John Burkett, that's a hell of a shot in the ninth frame,
Again,
my friend.
That foundation, that was huge.
Here it is one more time. This is probably the best shot he's made all night. Look at that, down and through it.
That was dead on line. That was beautiful.
Now here's Eugene on the right lane.
Match, game, set. 52-72, best he can do is 0-2. This is over, folks. And Eugene knows it.
Eugene fast tracking his way through.
Yep. Best Eugene can do is 0-2 if he strikes out.
And that's got to be tough for Eugene here tonight. He's going to look back at this championship game and think about how he could have played the lanes differently. But hey, a great week for Eugene McCune, and I love seeing Eugene out here. One of my favorite players when I was growing up as a youngster. I loved it when Eugene made the show. Very exciting to watch, a lot of power, very unique way to attack the lanes. Like we talked about, real deep or way far out, but always a joy to watch.
Eugene can do tricks with a bowling ball that most guys can't even fathom doing, and it's just easy for him.
Yep.
Absolutely easy.
So John Burkett getting to go up in the 10th frame here and take a victory lap. There's a lot of fans out there for Berkey, and he has earned it.
You just got to throw this one. Just get it off your hand.
Nobody's worked at their game harder than John Burkett, and this is a big moment for John. Congratulations to John Burkett.
John Burkett got his very first PBA 50 title.
South Shore Sports Open, PBA 50 here in Hammond, Indiana at Olympia Lanes. You are now a PBA 50 champion, John Burkett. Congratulations, and he earned it here tonight, having to pretty much work his way through the ladder. Lenny Borish, Eugene McCune, and Parker Bohn.
There we go. What an incredible end. That is incredible. It's always nice to see somebody win their first one.
Maybe they'll let me interview him up on the lanes with that mic. Maybe I'll do that.
There you go. We'll hang tight here and hold down the ship.
And a PBA Tour champion there at the end. He couldn't have bowled better. John Burkett, everybody.
Mike Flanagan heading out to the lanes, hopefully to get an interview with John Burkett.
John, first, how does it feel to win your first PBA 50 Tour title? Really, how does it feel?
I've never won anything in my life. I played baseball for a long time and never won anything, and I'm telling you what, I mean, this is the #1 accomplishment in my sports history. I'm telling you, it's so hard to win out here. Every time you bowl, you got to bowl against these Hall of Famers, and I mean, it's just such a grind, and I mean, it's just amazing. But I learned like 3 days ago that I want to say something. 3 days ago, or I think 2 or 3 days ago, days run together, but my mother-in-law had a major health event, and it's unbelievable. I just felt like she was with me the whole time. I mean, some people don't like their mother-in-laws, but I love mine. She's in the hospital bed battling. The whole family's there right now. But God, I hope I get to see her, tomorrow. So I want to thank everybody here. Olympia Lanes, what a great place, great venue, Mike, the staff, and I mean, Del Ballard has helped me a lot. Paul Fleming back home. Don Simonian's like my right-hand man. He's always with me and helped me out, and he was along the ride today. So, man, I'm just so happy. I can't believe it happened. I almost gave up on it.
John, I want to help you for you, but I have one more question for you because I've always wondered while you're bowling, you threw strikes in front of 50,000 fans. You had to throw strikes here under pressure. Is the pressure the same? Is it more in front of 50,000 fans, or is the pressure the same here?
I think it's so much tougher here. And I tell some of the guys here that when you're on a pitching mound, the fans pull that adrenaline out of you, and you're able to let it go on the mound. And here, the adrenaline hits you the same way, but you have to slow it down. You have to keep it from getting involved here. And you see me, I throw the ball, past the head pin a lot, and that's what happens. I mean, you just get jacked up, and it's hard to keep that that adrenaline down to keep it under control. So I think that's the toughest part about this.
We're very happy for you. I know you're a Storm staffer. Storm has great equipment. They've helped you out, Del Ballard, as you mentioned, and my wife, Laura.
Thank you very much, Johnny. I'll tell you what, she's been with me since 1989. It's the most proud accomplishment of my life is to be married for 33 years. And she puts up with me to come out here, after all that time in baseball, and she raised the kids and did everything at home, and while I was out playing games, and I'm still playing games, and she's still hanging with me. I really appreciate it. I love you very much. See you tomorrow.
John, we're all happy for you. I know all the players are happy for you. These people are happy for you. Congratulations. John Burkett, everybody, PBA50 champion, South Shore Open. What a great time. Congratulations, John. I'm sorry, you want some money or a trophy? There you go.
All right, well, on behalf of the South Shore Convention Visitors Authority, we want to say congratulations. First of all, let's put our hands together for Nick and Mike for putting this all together, right? Olympia Lanes. Big shout out. To John, your MC. Great job, John. Thank you for being here, doing all the good work. And let's put our hands together for all the bowlers this week. 90 bowlers, all internationally being here in Northwest Indiana. And one more round of applause for Eugene. He played well all week long to get here at #1 seed. And John, you played Major League Baseball, and you're a pitcher, and you had 166 victories in your career. And you had to pitch 3 innings tonight, basically, to come back and win this, right? So you got the save and the win and the big check. So congratulations. And we appreciate all the hard work you've done, and now you get to come back and repeat next year, right? Round of applause.
All right, we bring it back into the booth. Tom Carter, we saw John Burkett get his first victory on the PBA50 Tour tonight. Great night.
Exciting, and I'm happy as all get out for him. It was awesome.
Really was. We had ourselves a show here. We had Parker, we had Bill Rowe, John Burkett, Lenny Borish, and then Eugene in that championship match.
And everybody, and I know the house thought that Eugene owns this place when he bowls here, and everybody thought that Eugene was just going to run away with it. And John Burkett, what an outstanding performance.
Straighter was greater, is the way I look at it here tonight.
And he bowled under unbeknownst pressure because his mother-in-law had an aneurysm, is in the hospital, and he's hoping to make it there before something happens. Hopefully nothing does happen. And so he was a little teared up out there in that interview because you could see it. And so that had to be in the back of his mind, but what a great performance.
Yeah, touching words from John Burkett for sure. Well, that's going to do it for our broadcast here at Olympia Lanes here, the South Shore Sports Open. I want to give a shout out to the local Convention and Visitors Bureau, South Shore Sports, and for sponsoring the event again this year.
I'll see you in Grand Rapids?
Well, our next broadcast is coming up Tuesday, August 2nd at the PBA50 Spectrum Lanes Open. Coverage will begin at 10 a.m. Craig and Brian will be there. Okay. I'll resume the tour here in a little bit. Eugene gives us the thumbs up and knocks the camera. So that's what happens here on the PBA50
Well, the
tour.
camera's right in the walkway, so we can't help it.
Yeah. We want to thank everybody for watching here today, whether you watched on BowlTV or a future upcoming broadcast repost with YouTube. So if you have not subscribed to BowlTV, we hope that you do. We want to thank Linda Carter and as well as John Weber for putting on the event, our hosts here at Olympia Lanes, and also to all the people that support the PBA50 Tour, the sponsors, and everybody that's out here. Eric Pearson Oil in the lanes and the guys on the truck led by Sully. So for everyone here, including Brian Kane, and for everyone here at the center, Tom Carter, my name is Mike Flanagan. Remember, on BowlTV, bowling lives here.
It's the only place it lives.
That's right, and we'll see you on our next broadcast. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night.